The Rock has a message to all pro wrestling fans. In case you didn't know already, pro wrestling is a work, it's fake. Yeah, thanks a lot, dipshit. We already knew that. Someone take the phone away from this guy. What is going on, everyone? My name is D Loves Wrestling, and today we are going to be talking about, I swear I can make a video now almost every single day of just a topic about what The Rock is saying recently. Because ever since after WrestleMania 41, this man just needs to put down the phone and stop appearing on interview, talk show host shows, because he's making himself look like just a complete idiot. And now, after seeing what I'm about to talk about in this video, he's acting like a complete jackass now. For those of you who don't listen to Busted Open Radio, Dave LaGreca, Bubba Ray Dudley, Tommy Dreamer, and Mark Henry, they all have this show and they talk about professional wrestling. Dave LaGreca is real. He's as real as it gets, and he had a lot to say about the interview that The Rock had on Pat McAfee's show just the other day. He was talking about how he felt about The Rock not showing up to WrestleMania. So The Rock, the next day later, he had something to say to Dave. And he went to social media to make a comment. And this comment that The Rock said, I was not expecting in 100 years. Because coming especially from someone on a corporate level, this is just absurd. The Rock said to Dave is very passionate about wrestling, just like I feel like any professional wrestling fan. We're very passionate about what we like. We are all in. We are hardcore wrestling fans. The Rock, who grew up in the business, who is now running the business, a part of running the business, and has been a superstar, decides to rub it into every single fan because a little bit of criticism has been directed towards him. He said, Dave, you know everything that we do is a work. Now, for those of you who might not be familiar with the term work, basically everything that we do is fake. Every match, every interview, every promo, every feud that we have, every storyline that we have, you name it. Everything that we do is a work. In other terms, is fake. Does the man not know what kayfabe is? I know that died for most of the wrestling industry a long time ago, but damn it, try and put some effort into at least trying to make the diehard fans not have to feel uncomfortable of saying that they like wrestling, because 100% of the wrestling fans in the entire world know that if you mention that you like WWE, TNA, AEW, any wrestling promotion, if you couldn't say it in public. You had to keep that to yourself, and you know why you had to keep that to yourself? For people like The Rock, and for what he was saying in this statement to Dave LaGreca, when Dave was just criticizing the WrestleMania 41, how The Rock could have appeared in the WrestleMania 41 main event. The Rock decided to go with this. This is something that an asshole would say that wants to make fun of you for liking wrestling. This is coming from one of the greatest of all time. This is coming from one of the top people in TKO, who run the WWE, who run the biggest pro wrestling industry in the entire world. This is what The Rock had to say? I couldn't believe that. Yeah, no shit, Rock. Yeah, we know it's a work. We know that. Wrestling and movies are so similar. You can compare magic and pro wrestling together, plays and musicals to pro wrestling together. They all are very similar. Like, if I'm watching a movie, right, and say Jim Carrey is playing this mafia character and he's going around and he's beating up everyone that he doesn't like. It's not a movie. I'm just coming up with something on the fly. Like, I'm watching the movie, right? I'm invested into it, right? Obviously, I know Jim Carrey isn't in the mafia. He's not a mobster. But when someone is just in your face telling you, hey, you know this isn't real, right? Like, Jim Carrey's just a normal guy and he's not a part of the mafia. Like, no shit. What an ignorant thing to say. That's what I got out of this message from The Rock. And there was a little bit more that he had to say, and it was basically saying, hey, Dave, you could come join me, Cody Rhodes, John Cena in these TKO creative meetings. Dude, get out of here. That's literally how the statement started out. It's literally listing everything that you see on a daily basis of every single wrestling show, no matter what promotion you're watching. Everything is fake. And that's a tough word to use because it like everything is a work. But when you watch a magic show, you're watching a magic show and the guy pulled the dove out of the hat. and like you're amazed by it because you're like, oh my God, how did he do that? Or you're just invested on how entertained you are. Then you go and walk away, and the guy doing the magic tricks is literally letting you know before you walk out, hey guys, just so you know you had a great time. I know you thought everything that I did was fantastic and amazing. That was all fake though. I hope you just know you paid and you spent 2 hours of your time and you paid hard-earned money to watch a fake show. Just so you guys know. You guys good? That's such an ignorant thing to say. And The Rock had the nerve to end off that statement that he said in like such a comedic way. The Rock said at the end of the statement, just enjoy the show, stop ranting, it's not good for you. And then he made a joke with Bubba Ray Dudley at the very end. No, you know what? No, Rock, I'm not gonna enjoy the show because it's all fake. You know, you just reminded me, oh yeah, everything that I've been watching, it's fake. Yeah, so I'm good. I'm not gonna watch anymore. That's such a stupid thing to say. Like, all wrestling fans know. We know what we're watching. Do you want us to feel bad for showing some criticism towards what we're watching? If we're giving criticism, it's because we actually care and we're so diehard fans that we care so much about pro wrestling. So like we want it to be good. When wrestling fans show love, we show love. Should we not show love because it's a work? Yeah, we know that, Rock. But saying it is just something that all wrestling fans had to deal with from just complete assholes. I've said it like once or twice already, but coming from The Rock at his position in the company and what he's done as a WWE superstar, what an ignorant thing to say. And I'm going to backtrack just a little bit. This guy is in corporate for the company. He is one of the head members of TKO. Why is he tearing down the curtain that is already like just barely holding on to dear life with all these shows that they're coming out with where kayfabe, like I said earlier in the video, kayfabe is completely just gone. I mean, if you see a few superstars trying to keep it alive, like you see it with Toni Storm, that's really one of the only people that I can think about when it comes to keeping her character alive outside of the ring. You got to give respect to that because they're trying their best to keep this perception alive that everyone just completely forgot about, and I feel like not too many people care that much about their characters or their work to make you really believe that they are this character that you see on TV, to make it as real as you can possibly make something real. But why is a corporate member trying to make people like feel bad, like we don't acknowledge what we're actually watching? Rock, we know what we're watching. We know everything is a work, but it was the way that he said it. And with Rock like coming off full steam just like that, with just a little bit of criticism directed towards him, let's be real here, WrestleMania 41, the night 2 main event, was pretty lackluster. Just the way it was booked at the very end, and The Rock never showed up, and the story of the Selling the Soul thing where The Rock was the head guy, a part of it, he never even showed up after it first initially started. The fact that he took a little bit of criticism, he went to the Pat McAfee show and he was explaining everything, and then Dave LaGreca just has a little bit of criticism to say to The Rock, and he's not wrong whatsoever. You can't even argue with what Dave was saying. You watch the video on YouTube or you listen to the Busted Open podcast on anywhere you get your podcast. The Rock doesn't handle criticism very good. I mean, you could just clearly tell in this statement that he had to make. Literally had to expose the business just to get not even his point across, because his point didn't even get across. It was just kind of actually making a mockery of himself. You are one of the head people and you wrestled for 20 plus years. You sacrificed your body for several years just for something that's fake. You can bounce The Rock statement that he was making towards Dave right back at him. Why do you work for a fake company? Why do you work for a fake industry? Do you know what you're doing? Rock, do you know everything that you did for the 20 plus years in the business? You know that was all fake, right? You know that you're making a fool out of yourself? That would be such an ignorant thing for me to say. And I would never actually say that and mean it, because I know how it feels when I was in like middle school and I stopped watching wrestling, because if I brought it up, this was always the mentioning thing to me. It was that what you're watching isn't real, right? It was just like the cool thing to do to make fun of wrestling because everyone found out that it wasn't real and it was a work. But I can understand that from ignorant ignorant idiots, like, I can understand that. Like, yeah, dude, like, I know what I'm watching. But coming from The Rock, what was your reasoning of doing this? And the fact that The Rock had to go to this kind of measure to just try and get his point across is actually alarming, because no one is offended by what he said. We know it's true. When you're using that as your argument, the reasoning to not showing up to a show, and you have to literally expose the business to everyone out there. I mean, The Rock is the second most followed person on Instagram, and he made this statement on Instagram. Hundreds of millions of people that are going to see this. Your goal is to try and attract new people to watch your product. How much of an awful way to do that by literally trying to put people down for watching what they're watching. We all know it's a work, Rock. But when you're saying it like this, you're trying to make it seem like you shouldn't be watching the show because it is a work. The fact that he had to say something like this, I'm actually worried about what the future of the WWE might bring us, because like we have this new creative behind the scenes show coming out in the summertime. The curtain is just completely torn off. If there might be a little bit of the curtain that is just hanging on by dear life, WWE is just letting everyone know completely. Like, there's no hiding anything anymore. Everything is predetermined, just completely a work. It's fine to realize when WWE is completely shoving it in your face that everything that we do is just not real at all. And they're pushing these out. They want these to come out really bad. Like, they're advertising it on almost every single Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown show like this, where they're exposing the magic. They're exposing the magic of how the bunny rabbit pops out of the hat. They're pulling everything away. For new fans, they might not really care about, but like, those are like, you know, the outsiders coming in. Stop trying to feel accepted and feeling that you have to be exposing all your secrets just to be like, we're not trying to hide in the shadows anymore. We know it's fake. And you know what? We're going to make new shows and telling you guys how we do everything. Me personally, I got my own opinion on that, because growing up watching wrestling, and obviously, yes, I know wrestling is a work. I know that. But it's like, I wouldn't want a magician to tell me how he did the trick when I just saw it happen. You know, like, some things should be left unsaid. You don't want to ruin what makes something so special. With The Rock saying something like this, and also with some of these shows that they got coming out, like LFG, I can't watch that show. I don't want to get too off track, but like in the very beginning of LFG, they let you know in the first episode that everything that we do is just entertainment, and we're going to tell you how to make everything come to life. And that's fine. Like, they're trying to get these new upcoming superstars. After the first episode, they try and make it a normal Monday Night Raw or Friday Night SmackDown, where they're trying to put these storylines together. It's like, hold on. You're ruining the magic from the first episode. Everything that we do, it's not real. Bubba Ray Dudley is going to teach you how to throw a punch, and he's going to teach you how to sell it. And then the next episode of LFG, they're trying to create these feuds between Bubba and another new guy, trying to have some animosity between Undertaker and other people. We know this is an overproduced show. You're kind of contradicting yourself, because I'm cool with that. If you didn't have the first episode being that, hey, everything that we're doing in this show is just to teach you how to be a wrestler. It's a weird dynamic. I don't know if I'm explaining it correctly to make it make sense to how I'm trying to explain it to you guys. It just all goes back to what The Rock said here in this statement. I just don't understand, like, why? Like, we know. Why try and pull away the magic? Why try and pull away what makes wrestling special? For someone like The Rock to say this over the course of the last year and like year and a half, just stop saying anything and just show up to the show if you want to be involved of talking about wrestling, or just being on the show and involved in any type of production of the WWE. 3 straight days of him just saying some nonsense stuff. You should have just not said anything. He makes himself look worse. You can't even defend him on this. You literally can't. I want to see someone try and defend him on this. Don't just expose the business like that. Exposing the business when we already know what the business is about. It just makes no sense at the end of the day. Maybe he's not trying to come across that saying it's a work is a bad thing. That's how you have to respond. You can't even try and like play in character. Oh wait, maybe that was Dwayne Johnson talking and then Final Boss talks, and then midway through Final Boss talking, Dwayne Johnson talks. He's just all over the place. Like, he's absolutely just all over the place. That is all I got for this video. I promise that the next episode will be something more positive and something that we can all bond over. Talk about how wonderful pro wrestling is, because talking about The Rock is talking about how pro wrestling could be very negative. Everyone, thank you as always so much for watching this video, and as always, I will see you in the next one.